So, hello everybody. Hello. So, I understand I'm the barrier between you and the free drinks, so I will be quick. I'm here to talk about security operation and automation and orchestration. This SecOps. Just a few information of me. Quick introduction. I'm a security auditor since 10 years. And since 3 years ago, I've started a company, which is today a big company of one person. And I'm an independent consultant, and I'm working in a major financial institution in France. So I'm French. Sorry for my French. So just before to go on the presentation, I have to talk about security operations. We have many definition of this. I do have mine, and I would just want to share it with you just for this presentation. So when I will talk about SecOps, I will talk about these activities. So penetration testing, code review, security compliance, in incident response, CTI, and so on. So just keep in mind these activities. I will talk about PatrOwl. PatrOwl is an open source framework that I've started the development since 1 year ago, and it's an open source framework for automating and orchestrating tasks addressing security operations. So we are looking for making these processes more efficient. And the solution lets you to define your assets. Assets could be an IP, the domain, a subdomain, a URL, a Git repo, and so on. You define your assets, the scans policies, and the scans you want to perform. The scans give you findings, and then findings are then collected, analyzed, and aggregated within a unique database. We develop several engines and connectors, bless you, to assess risk and various stacks on every domain. The idea behind this tool is to have a risk overview on every stacks. From the IP to data. We try to do this. The scan could be started one time, so on demand, one shot, or on a regular basis to have a continuous monitoring of our security posture on all stacks. So why making a tool like this? Not because I have the time, because I saw that then something is changing. When I have to describe the current evolution of the IT landscape, I think we can summarize it in 2 words, which are acceleration and diversification. And this concept applies to the asset, the threats, and by the way, the security incidents. Regarding the assets, thanks to the digital program, we saw an explosion of IT projects in company. So the information systems are more and more open to the world, and then more and more exposed to hostilities. We also see changes in technology. We saw new technology that pops every day. And we also see changes in the software delivery process. I remember a few years ago when it was about 4 to 5 moves to production per application and per year in a company. Today, just another figure, Netflix deployed more than 500,000 containers per day. So container with an application and a system embedded. So we are making IT in a different way today. So maybe we have to make information security and cybersecurity in another way. And the threats are growing too. The number of CVE is only growing year after year. the attacker, there is more and more attacker thanks to the ease of exploitation of vulnerabilities. And I think today, as a pen tester, I think it's easier today to find a random system that been done before because of this. I think targeted attacks are also the same, but if you want to hack a system, it's very easier today than 10 years ago. So from a defensive point of view, I think we have to cover a quickly changing IT landscape, and at the end of the day, it's increasingly hard to have a realistic and sufficiently updated view of our security posture. So keep in mind these two words, acceleration and diversification. To do our jobs, we have to manage security incidents. Security incidents are elevated by identified vulnerability on our assets before attackers do, and identify indicator of compromission, which could lead to past attack, current, or maybe future attack. And one of the key challenge of our jobs is to keep us updated of information security knowledge database, to keep us updated of various security news and blog posts and so on. And the spectrum of threat scenario is changing every day, so we have to manage lots of feeds of information. And we have to face the continuous transformation of our assets. And finally, just monitoring our assets is not sufficient enough. We have to monitor other resources just to find some data leaks, to try to find the data leaks and to understand how third parties see our security posture. And the other problem we have to face today is the windows of exposure. We have to find, from a defensive point of view, we have to find a vulnerability as soon as possible. Because today we know that attacker will attack us, and a new vulnerability pops every day, so it's increasing the likelihood of attack scenario. So we have it's a race against the clock, and we should try to win it. So to help us, we found that automation and orchestration maybe could help us. For me, automation, it's setting up a single task to run, and orchestration, it's about coordination of automated tasks. The first picture revealed that attacker do this. Attacker do automation, and maybe better than us. So let's share a personal and true experience. So last week I've set up a Kubernetes cluster to host the future cloud version of PatrOwl, and I've deployed it with the default configuration with unfiltered access and exposed to internet. So I was doing something wrong and I was punished because only 24 hours later I was hacked and a crypto miner was installed in my Kubernetes cluster. So I've done a quick forensic on my server, and I've discovered that, and I definitely think that it was not targeted. I think that a scanner just scanned over the internet, just finding the non-secure service exposed on the internet, and automatically found my server. So fuck him, but it's like this. I was punished. So attacker do automation, and we have to think, if you want to fight back, to fight this kind of attack, we have to automate our process too. And I found some advantages of this kind of a process. The first thing is to do more checks and to cover a larger range of assets and make more control on more control on each stacks. The second one is to do it more often, to discover as soon as possible vulnerabilities or suspicious changes in our systems, and in order to reduce the windows of exposure. To do it more efficiently, because it's try to tackle another problem in security. I work in a CERT, and we have to face talent shortage. So in our job, we have to manage. We have to perform a lot of repetitive tasks which has low value adding, and it's just getting us unmotivated. And just to keep them motivated, we can try to automate something to focus on more complex cases. And automation can help us to do compliance and benchmark test. So to perform the same checks on a regular basis that can give us trends of the level of maturity in our system. So I think everything is convinced by automation. Are you convinced or not? Yeah. No. Bob is not. I'm sorry for him, but there are several downsides of we have to discuss. So just do you think about the limits of automation and orchestration? Yeah. What kind of limits? Sorry?
When you have something that changes or relies on interpretation of data, for example, you have something going in and needs to be interpreted based on state or something else, and your automation needs something else to give in order for you to extract some logic behind that.
Yes. Already. So I've found some that the first thing is that automation does not cover every risk. Don't think it will replace our job. So it does not replace all human security analysts. It's increasing the number of alerts of true positive and false positive. So we have to manage this overhead. And it's completely inefficient for detection of functional vulnerabilities. It will only detect easy technical vulnerabilities. And there is a TCO, a total cost of ownership. It's an additional system we have to manage to exploit. By the way, maybe there are downside. But we build PatrOwl for automation and orchestration. We don't care about the downside. Well, the three pillars of our application is to base our work on automation and orchestration concept, by the way, and to rely on best-of-breed tools. Tools exist today. They are great tools, and they perform a great job, like Tenable, Nessus, and Qualys. They do a great job in their field. And they are very efficient to scan vulnerability at the infrastructure level, but if you already use this, the web application scanner, the container security assessment, and the anti-malware modules are not so efficient. We just have to use all the tools to perform this job in a better way. So we found a way to benefit from the best part of security, several security tools, and making it easier to define the scan policy. So how it works? It's written in Python, sorry, and yes, I'm French. in this language, and it's supported by Django framework. And we have the manager, which is the front-end application in which you define the asset, the scan policy, the engine, and it's a unique cockpit to define the scan, to define the scan, to gather the findings, and to have a magical mix to show you your result. It's available using the web UI and REST API. And it discusses with engines. When engines are micro application, it's a it's stateless application, which is in charge to perform the scan, to analyze the results, and format every findings in unique and pivoting format. The engine performs the scan in your internal networks or internet assets. It can also be used to communicate with external service and or gathering threat information from any other service. You can define alerts when new findings match your criteria. You can generate an automatic alert. So there is a functionality when you can define an alert which is automatically sent to the hive as an event, and when you are in the hive screen, you see that this event arriving, and you can create a new case. It's the same using Jira and or Slack or so on. Or you can also extract the findings and put it on your CM. As today, we have developed a multiple range of. We support all of this application. So from the network scan, vulnerability management, SSL management, DNS. All DNS is just a tool we have released to perform a lot of checks on the DNS side. Malware and web application, data leaks, and secure application. When I'm writing this slide, I say that there is no sense between Nmap and OWASP dependency checks or and so on. And that's the idea behind the tool. It's a framework. So maybe you don't need everything, but you just need to have the capacity to quickly put in place a SCST process. So yeah, you can use Patrowt to perform this. Every engine is Docker ready. So if you want to install every of these tools, it's just as simple as a Docker pull. And we plan to create new engines to support the same thing. It's about, if you want to develop an engine, it's about 2 to 3 days to develop and test it. So it could be easy to do this. And we plan a lot of things. And when we see the face of Foodie, maybe we plan a lot. So it's a call for help. If you are interested in the project, contribute. Because we found that this tool could be used in the various use cases regarding data leaks, vulnerability and reputation tracking, vulnerability management, penetration test, securing the CI/CD pipeline. So it could be a framework to enable new capacities in your company. So if I have to sell this product to you today, but it's not the object of the presentation, I will insist on this wrap-up. But no. Just remember that for big companies, the big companies have already more or less the tool that are provided by PatrOwl, but it's provide a unique cockpit to define a unique strategy and to gather findings from the different tools and gathering and managing the risk in a single point. And for newcomers or a smaller company, it brings them capacity to quickly improve their security maturity. And it's open source. We are currently work on more integration with the Hive and Cortex, which are security incident response tools, and with an IT automation and continuous configuration tool, which is Rudder. We are testing various use cases. We are trying to make a secure Kubernetes cluster to host the cloud version, and we are trying to debug and document it. So here we are. I can propose you a choice. So if you have questions, if you want a demo, or if you want to have the free beer, it's up to you. A demo? Okay. If you insist. Just to have to understand the model behind this. You have user, which and a user group. On the user, you can define a lot of assets or an asset group, a group of assets. You can define several engines, so you can have an instance of an Nmap, and you can have a lot of instances of the same engine. You can think we can deploy an Nmap or a Nessus scanning on your internal networks, on your administrative networks, and on the internet. So everything can be managed in the application. On an engine, you define a scan policy. A scan definition is the selection of the asset you want to scan and the policies you want to apply. You can run the scan definition. You have a scan. The scan gives you raw findings, and because we have a duplicate of raw findings, we just try to identify unique findings. It's easier to manage behind, and you can define alert rules and events. Some sprints, a quick dashboard with big figures on your on what are you looking? Are you managing on assets and asset grades? You're looking for the most vulnerable assets and most critical finding. By the way, as today it's statical, but we are working to make it more dynamic. Not today, but as today we have to define every asset you want to test. Yes, but we also provide a feature to import it in the using a CSV file, so charging in bulk. But we are looking for connectors with GLP PI or other one or CMDBs to dynamically choose your assets, and then the PatrOwl will be able to get.
Or between IP ranges.
No, it's not.
If you define IP ranges, then it discovers the assets and then integrates with the.
You can define IP range or IP subnet. It will work.
And the platform discovers the assets on that IP range.
If you, it's just in this use case, if you perform this, if you set a new IP range, maybe you will do an nmap scan to discover every host up and services on this. This will create a new asset and an asset group. So you will have the opportunity to have the risk assessment of one asset, one new asset, which is dynamically created and on the subnet or the range you define.
Okay, but the characteristics of the assets will only be the ones that the nmap can get from the assets.
Sorry?
The characteristics of the asset will only be the ones that nmap is capable of getting.
Yes.
So for version, OS version, open ports, etc.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So for each asset or asset groups, you can have this the screen just to remind the finding counter. And finding are categorized by threat domains. So if you want to assess your level of maturity on SSL certificate, you just have to click on the category, and it will filter findings and risk on this. You can export result on using on HTML, CSV or JSON. You can manage lots of engines. It could be installed in the same on the same server or anywhere on Earth. For each type of engine, we provide a policy. You can create your own policy, but we provide templates to just to help you to use the application. So default template for listing open port of on a service would be available. I think I will create a template to just to focus on Kubernetes secure port, just to have a clear scan policy to assess this. Could be useful. And here is the plan. Here is the page for creating a new scan. So the title, the definition. You can start your scan on demand or periodical. You can start it now, later, now, or at the time you define. You can search for multiple assets or asset group. And then you have to choose a scan policy. Either you know the tool that will perform this policy, or you can filter by category. So you just want to assess something on e-reputation. So it will be the selection of a policy will be filtered, and it will propose the policy you want. And then you have to select the engine. You can perform a scan continuously, and there is a way to compare the findings found in each scan. If you perform the same scans twice, you can find you can have a comparison between between the two scans. For each scan, you have more and more information. So you can also have the view of the all scan performed every day on I've still the heat map from GitHub to replace this. So if you click on a square, you just go to all scans performed in an hour. So you can quickly go to scan period. Every finding have a title, a definition, and a solution. If there is a solution proposed, you can export it using the JSON or the STX2 format to be compliant with the MISP. And you can also compare two findings. You can compare scans, scan between scans, and two findings to see the difference. And you can create a rule to automatically send a message to a log file and send an email to the Hive, to Splunk, or to Slack today. So my last message is here. If you are interested or not, just give us feedbacks, and if you want to contribute, do this. And if you want to join the core team, everything is open. So thank you very much. Thank you.